So what happened to Sarah Jane? I'm not talking about the actress. I know that unfortunately the actress is no longer with us. But what happened to Sarah Jane Smith as a character? Let's watch this video.
For each sexist bigot threatening not to watch, there'll be a young girl with a new hero they didn't have before. Young girl with a new hero they didn't have before.
So why is it that people don't seem to talk about Sarah Jane anymore? It seems as though people have forgotten that she existed and seem to glance over everything she has done. I said in my previous videos, Sarah Jane is the solid definition of an epic female character. This woman built up everything. She was dropped to Earth by herself and built up her own planetary defense system. She was basically Earth's sole protector while the Doctor was away. She had knowledge on just about every alien, and she was the full hero in every episode. She was like a teacher. She taught the younger people how to survive. She taught them everything they needed to know. And yet nobody ever talks about that. Sarah Jane is, if you want to talk about feminism, Sarah Jane is the best example of a feminist, a real feminist. This woman did everything by herself. She wasn't even in a relationship. That's the wonderful thing about the story. She was not in a relationship. I remember there was an episode where she finally managed to settle down and then marry somebody, and yet it turned out the person was an alien. The Doctor had to come in and save her. You know, it was a brilliant story, brilliantly written, smart. She wasn't an idiot. She wasn't stupid. She planned out everything. The story was brilliant. And overall, it confuses me why she's not being chosen as a role model. Even if she's no longer with us, she should still be the prime example of a role model. There was never a need for a female Doctor because we already had Sarah Jane. Forget being a female. Sarah Jane, or even the actress or the character, she's the perfect example of a proper role model in every shape of the word. Male or female, she's the perfect example of a role model. This woman was independent. She was smart. She wasn't strong. I always complained that Jodie's Doctor is not physically strong, but neither was Sarah Jane. Sarah Jane was an older woman. Jodie's much younger. Yet Sarah Jane was incredibly smart. Incredibly smart for a woman whose skill set is not being smart. She was brilliant. She thought of things on the spot. She learned things. She researched things. Like I said, if you were to pit Jodie Whittaker and Sarah Jane together in the same room, you would think Sarah Jane is the Doctor because she looks more like the Doctor. Forget this stupid nonsense that people say that Jodie is all, spontaneous. Jodie doesn't look anything respectable in terms of being compared to Sarah Jane. Sarah Jane, I remember there was an episode where the Judoon, the Rhino people, came to Earth. And then they had basically removed every single human on Earth except for the Sarah Jane people. I think they even removed Sarah Jane. But when they came down, they respected Sarah Jane because they knew who she was. They respected her, and she gained respect from other places. Sarah Jane, I can't remember off the top of my head if she was ever threatening. But I don't think that was her character, nor was it in her past. It's different for the Doctor because the Doctor is the Doctor. The Doctor has a background of being angry at certain people. Sarah Jane is more of a soft-kinded person. She always gave people a second chance, and she gave them a reason for doing so. You know, she was just, the show was brilliant. The character was brilliant. I loved every single thing about it. I didn't usually watch children's shows back in the day, but Sarah Jane, like I said, the writers knew their audience. The writers knew that they were writing for teenagers. No, not teenagers, young children. And so what they did was, they did not write for children. They wrote for, young adults. They wrote their stories to be mid-ranged because they didn't want to see their audience as idiots. That's the way you should always write a story. Write it up a level for the people you are actually writing it for. That way they will like it, as opposed to lowering it for the people you're writing. So when children watched these shows, they found scary elements, they found interesting elements, and it was so interesting. It was exciting. It was brilliant. And then we had the several crossover episodes when the Doctor would come in. Off the top of my head, I can't think of an episode I didn't really like. All the episodes were interesting if that's what you enjoy seeing. Sarah Jane Adventures was just brilliant. The show was 10 out of 10. That's how you do a Doctor Who spin-off. The Doctor wasn't related to the show. We knew he existed. We knew it was in the same universe. However, Sarah Jane was doing everything herself. She had her dog. She had her, computer. It was brilliant. It was just brilliant. So overall, I think it's really sad when people just sit here and say that Jodie is the first female role model, proper female role model, and when people say that Jodie is this, Jodie is that, Jodie is nothing compared to Sarah Jane. Not even close. She couldn't even walk in the same shoes that Sarah Jane was walking into. Sarah Jane was brilliant. Jodie is trying to be brilliant. Anyway, I'm going to leave you all with a short clip from the Sarah Jane Adventures just to show you how incredible the comedy was, the story was, everything was perfect. The funny thing is, while I was recording this video, I went onto YouTube to look for a video to post in this section. But while I was doing that, I got so engrossed in what I was watching, I ended up watching the full episode, so I had to re-record this section. That just shows you how good the show was. Anyway, watch this video and thank you for watching. Subscribe.
Doctor! You bring him back, whoever you are! No, Riley, don't you see? It's you, isn't it? Oh, you've done it again.
Hello, Sarah Jane.
Doctor? That's the doctor.
What doctor? The doctor? My doctor?
Yeah, well, he couldn't change his face.
Why, no. We've been to a baby's.
Boy, imagine it from my point of view. Last time I saw you, Jo Grant, you were what, 21, 22? It's like someone baked you.
Everyone, meanwhile...
Ah, yes, the Claw-Shan Sheep of the 15th Funeral Fleet. I've been looking for you. Have you been telling people I'm dead?
I apologize. The death notice was released a little too soon, though I can rectify this immediately.